Hi and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be adding select statements to our Milestone project. First of all, let's remember to delete this Milestone or books file here because we don't need it any longer. Just to make sure that it gives us an error when we try to use it, we're not misusing it anywhere. Then let's go down to our getAllBooks function. And notice how now it's giving us two errors. It's trying to open the books file that no longer exists, and it shouldn't because we don't want to use it. And also it's using the JSON module, which it shouldn't because again, we're no longer using JSON. We want to retrieve all the books from our database, from our table. You know how to do all of this except for actually getting the books back. So, you know how to set up the connection, get a cursor, execute the query that will select all our books, commit, and close. I'd encourage you to give this a go now. Just implement as much as you know about this function, and then we'll explain exactly what we're missing and how it works. I hope you got that. All we have to do is, of course, first of all, open a connection. Make sure to use the same data file as before so that all of these connections go to the same file. Get a cursor. Then execute our query, which is going to be select star from books. And that's going to give us the name, the author, and the read status. Then we can commit. But, of course, we've not actually written anything to our database. We've just read something from it. So there's nothing to save to the disk. Therefore, we don't need to commit in this case. We can just go straight to connection.close. Now, we've not saved the output of this to any variable. So as soon as we close the connection, of course, this is going to get lost. We're not going to have access to our books. And here is the exciting part or the interesting part about cursors. Remember what I explained about cursors, that they are a pointer. When you make a select statement that starts at the very top of your table and then moves over to the next row when you ask for the next row, and then goes over to the following one, and so forth until you get to the end of the table. Well, now that we've executed a query with a select, the cursor is at the top of the results returned. And we want to go down one by one all of the rows until we reach the end of the table, so that we get all of our rows back. The way we do that is we say, for example, books, which is now our variable of books, is cursor dot, and notice how there are a few fetch methods in here. You've got fetch all, and that's going to give you all of the rows. Fetch many, and that takes an argument here, which is how many rows you want to fetch. And fetch one, which gives you the top row of your table, of your result set only. So we're going to go for fetch all, and remember that our results are going to be the entire table because we've selected star from books, which gives us all the columns, and we've not limited any number of rows. We don't know how to do that yet. We're going to learn in a moment. So this is going to give us the entire table. Cursor.fetchAll is going to give us all of the rows. If you wanted just one book, you could just fetch one, but that's just going to give you the topmost book in your table. Now this, when you do fetch all, is going to give you essentially a list of tuples. Each tuple is going to have name, author, read status, and then name, author, read status, and so forth. So when you do fetch all, you essentially get this list here. So we can return that and then make our program access the 0th element of a tuple, the first element of a tuple, the second element of a tuple, or we could convert these tuples that we're receiving. I'm just going to bring them back actually. Convert these tuples we're receiving into dictionaries so that the rest of our program can still use them as it would normally. And I think this is the best thing to do. Just make sure we are using consistent data structures. So again, what to do is fetch them all, but put this in a list comprehension. And what we're going to do in this list comprehension is put in a dictionary of name. It's going to be row 0. Notice how that's going to be the first element of the row. Author is going to be row 1, and read is going to be row 2. And I know that things are disappearing off the side of the screen, so let's just bring them back. I'm just going to delete this now. And now notice how we have a list comprehension that puts a dictionary, that's the first value here of our list comprehension, into this new list, where row is each of the elements in cursor.fetchAll. Notice that each of the elements is a tuple, so we access row 0 as the name, row 1 as the author, and row 2 as the read status. Hopefully this makes sense. As we do this, we'll end with a dictionary, with a list of dictionaries, where each dictionary represents our book. Then at the end, after we close the connection, we can return books. That's the list here. Now our app.py, which was using book name, book read, and book author, doesn't have to change at all, because it's still using a dictionary in the background. Even though our database does not return dictionaries, the interface that we've designed here has kept things consistent so that our business logic, our app.py, doesn't have to change. And that's a really good thing to do. Now that we've selected all of the books, we can go and look at the next thing, which is filtering for specific books using the where statement. Let's look at that in the next video.